Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 24th Stockbridge Assessors meeting.
Randy.
Thank you. Brandy remotely with us, and I may actually.
It's Tuesday, right?
So-
Not Monday.
So good morning, and Mike, please.
Morning. Okay, last meeting minutes, those have to be approved.
Motion to approve from the chair.
Second.
All those in favor? Gary votes aye.
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 Brandy votes aye. Pat.
There is a 2024 motor vehicle warrant that Tammy gave me and I typed it up. It's dated today, so it has to be signed today. So we really only need the two signatures. Actually, Brandy, we'll use your stamp.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Is she too low now? Is she too low now?
Love it.
Okay, number three, at the last meeting, I mentioned that, I was finished with the sales analysis for fiscal year 25, and we are coming up to the tax rate season. Actually, we're probably, a little in the rear on that, but we're working on it. So the LA3, which is the sales, and the backup material, which is whenever a sale is coded out, you have to prove it to the DOR, and I have to do a spreadsheet. I'm working on that spreadsheet. The goal is to have everything submitted on Friday or Monday, and then it's in the state's hands, and we're kind of out of it until they call and approve. Well, they're not just gonna call and approve it. They'll call and probably question a lot, and which they typically do. And once that's done and they approve the LA3, which is the sales analysis, then we can move on to, which is number 4, the LA13, which is our new growth. I don't have that calculated yet. That takes me a day to do. I really can't get to it until I have the final LA4 done, which I'm still doing a few personal property changes this week. Once those are done, everything else is finished. The town has been recalculated. I will have the LA4 ready to go, and we'll proceed with figuring out what the new growth is, and I can report that at the next meeting. There is going to be a meeting on Thursday for the finance team to start going over the plans for completing the recap sheet and what we're going to be doing for tax bills this year. Again, nothing has been completed on any of the forms for the recap sheet yet. I will plug in what the assessors really need to have in there, which is the LA3 submission, the LA13, the LA4. Once those are approved, it really then comes down to the accounting firm, the treasurer, tax collector working on the forms and data to get everything ready to submit. We have to have an idea of what the tax rate is going to be in order to proceed with the tax classification hearing, because I have had a few concerns about when are we having the tax classification hearing. And to make it very clear, you cannot have a tax classification hearing until your sales are approved by the DOR and your new growth is approved. That is the Bureau of Local Assessment that does that. Once that's finished, we then move to the Division of Local Services with the tax rate. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Jim Podolik, who typically certifies our tax rate, he will be retired I think the beginning of November. So it might be that we have someone completely new handling our tax rate. So throw that into the mix as well as everything else that's going on. So I'll keep you up to date on that. I didn't look to see who the replacement is. I believe it's somebody temporary because they're in the process of looking for somebody. So there might be some, a little bit of crunch time going on there to try to get things done because we have someone new that's looking at information who isn't used to Stockbridge. And again, it's going to be different this year because we also have an accounting firm handling the filling in of the gateway forms. And we've only done one form, which is, I'll jump to number 6, the CP1 submission, which is the community preservation submission from last year's data. I entered in the information, Erica verified it, and the accounting firm submitted it. So we're good on that one at least, but nothing else has been done on Gateway. Thursday, when we have the review at our meeting, we will determine what the time frame is for getting stuff done. And I will update you guys with where we're headed for, the billing this year. A lot can change at the when we go to do the tax classification hearing, as far as if there's a small commercial exemption voted in or residential tax exemption, that can change a lot. And we're only, once this month is almost over with, so we're heading very quickly to the end of the year, and it is vital that we have something to present to the taxpayers for a bill, whether it is the actual bill. I think it's too late to do a preliminary bill or a volunteer payment, and that will be decided on Thursday. And a lot's going to be decided too with how many cities and towns are submitting their new growth, their sales, and their tax rate submissions. End of September, October are usually the busiest times for communities to start submitting, especially the semi-annual. I mean, that's another thing I have to remind people, we're semi-annual. We have to get a bill out before the end of the year of some sort. So we're working on that, and I will update you guys if there is anything that comes up that could throw a snag into that right now. Any questions on that? Okay. Brandy, any concerns? Okay. Number 5, Tammy sent out the CL1 forms. The urgency this time around, they have until December 1 to file instead of October 1st. So typically I'll present them to you guys and you start reviewing them in October, which we can still start doing, but technically they do have until December 1 now to file. There are 2 recerts this year for chapter land. Don't know the names off the top of my head. I have them flagged. Yours was one of them. Okay. Did you get a notice from the force?
Yes.
You did.
He's doing it,
Okay.
he's doing it today.
Okay. And I think it's Hylon is the other one. I haven't heard anything from them, but I have it flagged for them. If I don't hear anything, they typically, do you remember when you got that notice? Was it in June or?
No, I just got it. Jeff Jourdain reached out to me
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, so they're running a little bit late because the application says that you should be notified sometime in June. So they're probably running late. But Hylon, there's a big chapter one. They should be notified soon to get that in, because if there's any change in the acreage, I have to update that at the registry before January 1, or they lose out on it until the following year. I'll pull that one, see if I have a contact email or phone number just to remind them, because I haven't heard anything. And, Cardillo is another one. There's 3. Linda Cardillo is another one. I haven't heard anything from them either. That was the other one we have. But you file a forest management plan, right? Okay. That's what those are too. They're all forest management. So I'll look those up. I don't want to wait till the last minute on those. Number 7, I mentioned this at our last meeting, that we calculated the rollback tax for 19 acres of land that is going to be, the intent is to sell, a private sale for the Alozak property on Mohawk Lake Road. I explained everything to the attorney about the first right of refusal. I sent the pamphlet that the DOR sends us for the chapter land and first right of refusal. So he has that amount. He has the total amount of rollback tax that has to be paid. But this was a few weeks ago. I haven't heard anything back. And this has been typical of this situation where we've been asked to do the rollback tax calculation. We figured it out. I explained the first right of refusal, and then I've waited months to hear from them. And with the CP or the CL1 forms being due in December, they really need to figure this out before the end of the year, because we would have to release the lien on that property before January 1st. So I'll send him another email. I believe, do you know if the planning board's been notified of that? No, so nobody has. Board of Assessors, Planning Board, Select Board, and I believe the Conservation Commission all have to have a certified letter from the attorney to what the Alokzaks plan on doing with that land. If they're gonna sell it privately, then they have to start the process. And I believe it's a 3-month process. So we're gonna be really tight on this one. But we've done everything we can on our end. It really is in their ballpark to figure out what they want to do. They said they had a buyer ready to go. That buyer's gonna have to wait until every board receives a certified letter as to what the intent is, and then we have to sign off on it at our meeting. I would assume the select board would have to sign off at their meeting and so on and so forth. Because you have to, this has to be unanimous.
Right. Yeah, no, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, so again, it seems typical. Maybe they lost the buyer. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. Real nice guy, but hasn't followed through on the amount, nor has it been paid. It really shouldn't be paid until the first right of refusal is finished. I did mention that to him because and I can't speak for what the select board wants to do, but if they were interested in this 19 acres, then I believe an appraisal would have to be ordered, paid for by the town. And I haven't heard if anyone is going to be interested in this acreage at this point. And then there would have to be a fair value or sale price offered to the Alokzaks at this point.
It would seem like should be just the purchase price of the other offer, because
Right, I mean,
it wouldn't be fair to.
I mean, this is all new to me. I've never seen, I've only done one rollback, but the town was, and this was when Stonehill was being put in place, and it was the Wallach property, 84 acres that was done. And I came in when I first started on that whole process. And so the rollback tax had already been calculated and it had already been paid. The town had already decided that they did not want the land. So this is literally a first. I've never seen how, where that process goes as far as, do you have to hire an appraiser? Can you use our assessment?
Correct. The town would have to have an appraisal done and.
Okay.
They would establish.
And the town would have to pay for it.
Right, so first you have to identify a funding source, which isn't in the budget for the appraisal. And
That's true.
we would have to go to town meeting if we did want to take the land and get voter approval.
Okay. So there's more of a process than just saying, we don't want, or him saying, can you hurry up with this? Because it's
Right.
really on their end now. And I do think I believe it's 180 days. And the process hasn't been started. Well, I mean, unless this is, the 180 days is the Board of Assessors, the Select Board, the other two boards. You guys have that amount of time to decide what you want to do with it. And I think would be the Board of Selectmen only that actually makes that final decision as to whether or not they want to buy that land. But you guys, we'd have to do a formal letter of some sort saying, the Board of Assessors has received your letter. And we've met and fine with what you plan at, what your intent is, because we're the only ones that can release that lien and sign off on it. Even if they want that land, that lien is still going to be on the property. You guys would have to sign off on it, and I would have to withdraw it at the expense of, I believe the withdrawal fee would have to be paid for by the property owner. I think it's $175. Again, it just seems like it's in limbo. I haven't heard anything. You do all this work and it wasn't easy calculating that rollback tax for 5 years either, because Erica had to also do actually, another point is she calculated the interest until the end of September. So if we don't hear anything by the end of this week, she's got to redo the whole thing for another month. So again, more work on our part when really they're the ones that should make a decision, the property owner and the attorney, as to where this is going. I'm going to email them and follow up and say, we need a heads up on what your intent is with this situation. And that's all I have.
Anybody from the board have anything to bring forward?
No.
Our next meeting?
Yeah, the next meeting.
Will be
First Monday in
first would be
October, right?
First, which would be, well, no, that'd be the 7th.
That's not, is that Columbus weekend? No, that's the following.
Right, the 7th is not Columbus Day.
Okay,
So 7th and 21st.
okay. If anything comes up with between now and then as to my submission with the DOR, I will email you guys. I don't think there will be, the notes from Joe Barberi. I'm sure there's gonna be a plenty, but I can get through those. But again, if I hear anything about, where we're going with the tax classification and things like that, again, you can't rush it at this point. We really have to follow the steps that the DOR has in place. I know everyone's eager to have the tax classification, get it out of the way, but you can't rush it. And we've got a lot of work to do before we even get there.
And nobody's on Zoom. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Brandy, second?
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.